Alright, hey guys. So I watched The Hunger Games #1 today, and I wanted to do a review on it, and we'll do the whole series. So I actually had bought these like in 2020 or 2021, and I was planning on watching them again at that time, but that didn't work out, so I didn't watch them. But then I rewatched it today for the first time since it came out in theaters in 2012, and that's rare for me to see like a significant film and not have rewatched it. The other one was Django, which I rewatched in 2020, which was a huge event for me because I watched it in theaters as a kid. I was very young, and it was definitely like the worst. Like by worst, I mean like most adult movie that I had ever seen in theaters as a child at that time. But rewatching that was amazing. And yeah, I rewatched this and I give it an 8.5 out of 10. I would say there were some times where I thought it would be like a 8.7, like get it in that very good column. But I'd say the main thing about it that made it not as good was the acting, and some of the dialogue was pretty wooden at points. Um, but overall, a very enjoyable film. It's like a good concept, and I do enjoy a lot of the cinematography at points. Although I'd say the CGI is definitely a bit iffy, but the main parts of the cinematography I loved were when they went to the Capitol and like the set for the apartment was amazing. It was like a mix of like 80s design and like futurist design. It was incredible. And then I thought the costumes were awesome and like the crazy hair were really cool. And just the way everybody acted in the Capitol was honestly quite interesting and enjoyable, like I said. Director did a pretty good job. I thought he did a nice job, although we'll get into it, but like some parts like were like very good moments that were kind of like wasted, mainly because I would say of um, what's her name, Jennifer Lawrence, I believe, right? I always forget this lady's name. Yeah, her acting just like kind of sucked you out of the scene. Like the moment where she volunteers as tribute to replace her sister. Um, like it should be like a really poignant moment, but both the way it's directed and the way it's acted is very kind of like sudden and not well built up in terms of tension. Like it didn't give it time to breathe. Like her sister being called up to the platform. And that kind of was a bit of a wasted moment, although I do like that she like sacrificed herself for her sister. And then they basically go to the Capitol, and I do like the woman that's like Dolores Umbridge, the lady with the like the I don't know, does she have pink hair or no, she has like white hair but she wears pink. It's kind of like Dolores Umbridge. Uh, Sorry, I just yawned. I don't know what her name is, but she was pretty cool. Um, and then essentially, they stay around in the capital, and there's like some cool stuff here. You get to learn about the world. I like the part where they come in on the chariots, and I just got off of watching Gladiator, so I do like that this is like a modern day Gladiator tournament, and it's pretty cool. I like the training scene where she shoots the apple. That was very cool. Um, and then the games begin, and it's very brutal. I do think that this movie would be served by a bit more graphic violence, but I understand it's meant for like not 18 plus, you know. But I watched this movie called Battle Royale, which was one of the influences of Kill Bill, It's one of Tarantino's favorite movies, and this is another very good film. Um, but like it has more graphic violence, and I thought that Hunger Games could be made a bit better with that. But sorry, I hate yawning, man. I hate it. Anyway, so yeah, and there's this whole concept that Katniss is kind of unlikable, but she's told as advice like if you make people like you, they'll sponsor you and send you like in-game gifts of food and medicine and tools. And there's also this compelling scene where this is one of my favorite scenes of the movie where they go on this talk show, and I like how it's directed a lot. It's very like retro but also futuristic, and this is like the only Stanley Tucci performance I actually liked. I really don't like him, but he was actually really good in this movie. And they go on this talk show, and like Katniss does her thing, but then like Peeta goes up and confesses that he has a crush on her, and she's very mean to him. But then like you know things go around, they get dropped into the games. Um, she's chased up a tree by all these dudes and this girl, and then they like siege her out until she comes down, and then she like releases a beehive on them, and she gets a bow and all this stuff. There's also another scene where she blows up this pile of supplies that is being guarded by these guys that tried to kill her. And then we get these President Snow scenes where he's like unhappy with how the games are turning out, and he's worried that like Katniss is gonna be like a symbol and stuff like that. And Haymitch, which is like the guy from District 12 that is played by Woody Harrelson, that's kind of their advisor, convinces Seneca Crane, who's like the leader of the games, to make a rule change to avoid inciting further riots, and that basically they can win as a pair, so they don't have to kill each other. So they're making like a storyline for like the greatest TV show ever, kind of like the Truman Show. I'd be shocked if she wasn't inspired by the Truman Show, show making this, but basically they're just mass producing stuff for all the districts to like make entertainment. So they're making like the story of the star-crossed lovers. And then upon hearing this, Katniss searches for Peeta, and she basically nurses him back to health, and there's some romance. And I do like this romance because um, I think it works. It's just some of the acting is not very good, and it is satisfying to see her become more likable and not such a bad person to him. But there's also this other thing where her actual like boyfriend or crush back at home is like watching her kiss this dude um, on screen, and it's not exactly clear if she's doing this just to entertain the audience or she actually does like him. I'm not exactly sure yet because I don't remember the other movies. And yeah, so that happens, and then she gets medicine for him that's dropped in, and essentially she heals him. They go to the last, or they go to the center of the match. They kill the last guy, and at the last second they're like, "Oh yeah, the rule change doesn't apply. You have to kill each other. There can only be one winner." And then Katniss comes up with the idea to like eat the berries to commit suicide. The poison berries, like eat them at the same time. But then the game maker is like, wait, and then basically he allows them to both live. And essentially, it like they broadcasted to the whole country that you can defy the government and they won't, and you'll get away with it basically. So this is actually one of my favorite scenes of the movie. Is like the ending. Um, so let's see if it's written here. Yeah, this is my favorite scene, or one of my favorite scenes. So Seneca Crane, who's like let down President Snow, is like locked in a room that's quite beautiful and is like a mix of classical and futuristic design. Is just locked in a room with a bowl full of berries, and it's essentially like, you need to kill yourself or I'm gonna kill you. And I like that scene a lot. Um, and Haymitch warns Katniss that she's made powerful enemies after her defiance. She and Peter return to District 12, and she sees her sister again, but she also sees, his name is Gale, and he's basically played by Liam Hemsworth, and that was like her original boyfriend or crush character. I don't know exactly if they're boyfriend and girlfriend, but they were definitely like lovers, you know. Um, is this girl in anything else? Let me see something. Not really. So yeah, I watched Hunger Games again for the first time in 13 years. I watched these in theaters, like I said, and yeah, I enjoyed it, and I am excited to do a review on the last three, I believe. Uh, um, it's a strong movie. It's definitely like not up there in terms of like great series. I wouldn't say that it's like one of my favorite series, but it is good. I enjoy it. I enjoyed certain scenes a lot, and I think the direction was very good. There were times where I thought like the cutting was a bit too hasty and it was a little bit nauseating, but I'm excited to see more of President Snow, who I always liked. I thought he always had a lot of aura. He's my guy. He's pretty cool. Um, and yeah, so that's Hunger Games, and stay tuned for the next review.